Call it the caucus crash. Results of the Iowa caucuses in limbo because of tech troubles. Problems with the mobile app appeared to force a delay in reporting the results, among other problems, leaving the campaigns and the people pressing for an explanation. To discuss that and tonight's upcoming State of the Union, Matt Corrigan, political analyst and dean of the JU College of Arts and Sciences, back on the morning show. So is this fodder for critics who argued that the caucuses, party meetings, can be chaotic and somewhat antiquated anyway?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a number of incidents that have occurred. 2012 had some problems. 2016 had some problems. If we don't recall, Clinton and Sanders didn't know who had won. This may be the end of the Iowa caucuses as the lead-off to our presidential race. What you want, I mean, the delegates don't matter. A very small number of delegates for the overall race because you need a certain number of delegates to get the nomination. What Iowa does is give you momentum and forces people to drop out. Well, with no result, none of that's happening. And so we're just moving on to New Hampshire, almost like Iowa never occurred.
And when you sit back and think about it, the actual winners here in the caucus might have been the incumbent president and one of the candidates who didn't even show up.
Sure. I mean, President Trump is just going to make fodder of this, saying, you know, the Democrats can't even count votes. How are you going to elect them president? And so it's a gift to him. It's a gift to people like Mike Bloomberg who say, you know, listen, this is chaos, turn to me. Probably good for Joe Biden, who probably didn't do that well last night, and now he doesn't have to focus on that. It really hurts, I think, Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg, because basically they were having a good night, it seemed, and they don't get that bump out of Iowa.
And I was going to ask you, because this caucus did have the potential to redefine the Democratic race, and it may, but not in the intended way.
Right. It will prolong it. This increases the chance of a contested convention because you've got people who are not going to drop out. Klobuchar is not going to drop out. You know, again, we just don't know what the results are. So you don't get the momentum, you don't get the media coverage. I mean, your lead story this morning should have been who won the Iowa caucuses. It wasn't. People are going to forget about it. We've got the State of the Union tonight. We've got impeachment trial on Wednesday. So again, this is really unusual and really bad for the caucuses.
Let me move on to the State of the Union and the address tonight. President Trump is not the first president to address Congress while he faces impeachment. President Clinton did. And I remember hearing from his speechwriter, and he basically said, when asked whether or not the issue of impeachment should be included in the State of the Union, he said it was never even brought up. So the big question becomes, can President Trump avoid the elephant in the room?
Well, I think his speechwriters will avoid the elephant in the room. I'm not sure President Trump can get through the whole speech without taking a jab at impeachment. So we'll see how that all works out. You know, he's in a better position. You know, a couple of months ago, really, if you looked at all the matchups, you know, he's way behind in a general election matchup. But again, with this chaos in Iowa and the economy doing well, he's in a better position for re-election than he was a couple months ago. Still going to be, I think, a tough race, a competitive race. But the Democrats have got to have a candidate that emerges.
What kind of reception do you think he's going to get in the halls of Congress?
Well, obviously Republicans are going to be very excited, and Speaker Pelosi said, listen, you know, he's a guest in our House, he needs to be treated like that. I think you'll see some Democrats not show up, and of course you'll see, you know, when he says something, Republicans will rise and Democrats will stay seated.
So polite at best.
Polite at best, yeah.
So somewhat silent.
Yes, I think Democrats are going to vote with their silence.
All right, that State of the Union starts at 9 o'clock tonight. That and the Democratic response, both live right here on Channel 4 and news4jax.com. Always a pleasure to have you here.
Great.